Hello folks, I'm Alex, this is Alex Unabridged, and this is the Snob O Meter Tag. So welcome back to the channel if that is the case. Yes, Tag Tuesday, so a little tag for you today. And this is the Snob-O-Meter Tag, or the Snob-O-Meter Tag, however you want to pronounce it. This is an original tag created by That Reading Guy. And I was tagged by Pat over at Book Chat with Pat, as well as Lekden from Reading from the Depths. So thank you very much to you two for the tag. And I will link to everyone's videos and channels, etc. in the description as always. So let's jump into these prompts then and have a little chat about some book snobbery. So prompt number 1 then is, what is your definition of book snobbery? Book snobbery is where a reader makes a judgment on, kind of books that are maybe popular, mainstream, trashy, anything like that, as somehow inferior to what they read. Possibly, some stuff that is less literary or highbrow. And I think, where snobbery is at its worst is where it's not just about a judgment on the book, but a judgment on the reader of those books, that they are somehow less intelligent or less of a reader, because they're not reading literary stuff or classics, things like that. So yeah, it's a judgment of inferiority on certain types of books versus the type of books that that person might read. Okay, prompt number 2 then is there a genre or type of book that you would never consider reading? Such as, would you ever read a romance? Or if you regularly read romance, would you ever try science fiction? Stuff like that. No, there's nothing, there's no type or genre of book that I would categorically never consider reading or trying. One of the things I've loved since I've been on BookTube is that I have been encouraged and inspired to try lots of different stuff that I wouldn't have thought that I would try, like romance. And I found some really great fun times with romance. It's not one of my go-to genres, it never will be. But it's, I have had some fantastic reads, really enjoyable reads, and really surprising reads with that. There's definitely types of book or genres that I'm far less inclined to read. I think like romantasy is one, sort of mainstream romantasy, the stuff that's really popular at the moment. I've looked into it because it's popular and I've heard people talk about it, and I thought, well, I'll have a look into it. But to be honest, it just doesn't attract me. It doesn't appeal to me particularly. But that's a personal choice. So I may try it at some point. I'll never say never on anything. But it doesn't appeal to me. There's no judgment call on that. If people are reading romantasy or whatever it might be and they are getting something out of it, then we're all good. Read what you want to read. That's the main thing. Okay, prompt number 3 then is, does erotica count as literature? Yes, it does. Or it can, should I say. I'm going to assume for this that when you say literature, we're talking about it in terms of like highbrow literature or kind of classics, literary fiction, things like that, rather than a catch-all term for any kind of book, that kind of literature. But yeah, I would say erotica absolutely can count as literature. There is, there's stuff, dating back, which certainly I think would be held up as literature now. There's classic texts which certainly have an element of erotica to them, and even contemporary erotica. There's definitely some that I've come across in my time that is it's literary. It's definitely literary. So yeah, I think it can count as that. I think erotica is a difficult one as well, in terms of, it's a charged term, because one person's erotica is another person's smut or porn. But that's a whole other video discussion right there. But yes, erotica absolutely can count as literature. Okay, prompt number 4 then. Is it better to read classic books than popular bestsellers? No, it's not. It's best to read whatever you want to read. This is coming from somebody who is not a fan of classics in general. I have read some. I have tried plenty over the years. But on the whole, it's not what I'm drawn to. It's not what appeals to me. I don't particularly enjoy reading, or haven't particularly enjoyed reading a lot of what I've tried. Some stuff I've loved. Jane Austen, found that recently, love it. Some of the like the early horror, science fiction, that's great, and that's really interesting as well, because horror and science fiction are my genres. They are my go-to genres. And it's great to go back to the classics and the pioneers in those genres and see where it's come from and how it's developed over the years, genres. So that's really interesting. But yeah, I'm not a classics reader, but nor am I a popular bestseller reader. Certainly not stuff that is currently popular bestsellers. I don't keep an eye on what's a bestseller. If I happen to pick something up and it happens to be a bestseller, that's fine. But yeah, no, it's not better. One thing is not better or worse than the other in my eyes. It's all about what you want to read. And I would say as well that, like, today's popular bestseller could be tomorrow's classic. So it's at some point the classics probably were popular bestsellers. Dickens is now the classics. Not one I like. I can't stand Dickens. But, at the time, Dickens was serialised. It was about, getting it out to the masses, etc. They were popular, and they've become classics. So, yeah, I don't do the whole better than thing, to be honest. It's what you want to read. Okay, prompt number 5 then. Have you ever bragged about reading a classic in order to sound smart? No, because I don't really read classics. And certainly before BookTube, I really didn't read classics at all. Okay, prompt number 6 then is, do audiobooks count as reading? What about comic books and graphic novels? Yes and yes. I am a huge audiobook consumer, and they absolutely count as reading. What I will say, and this is a personal thing, this is based on my own personal experience, so, other people may have very different views on this, is that it is a different experience to reading the text. In terms of the way that I get it into my head, it does feel different. Because, to start with, it's going in through my ears rather than through my eyes. But I think that, and certainly when you get a good narrator, a good performance of the text, it helps me. It helps me a lot with comprehension. It helps me retain the information. And certainly with some books where you've got, kind of got a lot of tension, or you've got humour or things like that, it actually heightens the experience for me. It can bring a book alive at another level for me. And so I love audiobooks, but at the end of the day, it's still the same text going into my head, albeit through a slightly different, way of getting in there. And I'm still having to make meaning from the same text as if I read it as a book. So it absolutely counts as reading. What about comic books and graphic novels? Yes, again, they count as reading. You are sat with a book, reading it. You might be taking the meaning from pictures as well as text. You often get text in comic books and graphic novels as well as images, as the panels. But you're still reading it. You're still taking something in through your eyes, making meaning from it. So yeah, absolutely counts as reading. Okay, prompt number 7. Have you ever looked down at someone for reading a popular fluff book? i.e. a book with little substance to it. For example, a self-help book or a celebrity memoir. No, I don't look down on people, for their choice of what they want to read. Self-help books, I don't really have much experience with. I've read a couple over the years. They're just kind of not necessarily what I want to read. They weren't horrendous, they weren't bad, but they didn't do a huge amount of helping. I think that was my main criticism with them. But if they help someone else, then great. Celebrity memoirs. I've read a few celebrity memoirs, and I wouldn't necessarily say that they're all fluff. I mean, some of them subvert expectations, and you end up learning some much more deep stuff about the celebrity, or some stuff you didn't expect. So they're not. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a judgment there that because it's a celebrity memoir, it has to be fluff. Some are, and there's nothing wrong with that. I love a bit of fluff. I love a bit of trash on occasion, regular occasions, to be fair. But yeah, that they can be illuminating. So no, if that's what you get something out of and you enjoy it, then read it. It's not, I certainly wouldn't look down on anyone for reading those sort of things. Okay, prompt number 8. Have you ever been the recipient of someone else's snobbery? Yes, absolutely. As I say, as someone who doesn't read, I don't read a lot of literary fiction. I don't read a lot of classics at all. I'm a genre fiction reader, horror and science fiction. And I read quite a lot of trash as well, and I love my trash. So yeah, I have definitely had people say, "Oh, why are you reading that?" Or the one, "Oh well, if you've not read such and such, if you've not read the classics and that's all you read, your genre fiction is, you can't call yourself a reader if you've not read X, Y, and Z classics." And it's like, I think you'll find I can. Yeah, I've definitely been the recipient of kind of snide, snobbish comments, but I just don't really have any time for it, to be honest. So it's water off a duck's back for me. I will read what I want. Thank you. Okay, prompt number 9 is, would you ever be friends with a snob? Maybe you already are. Yeah, of course I would. And I probably am, and in fact, I'm pretty sure I am. But the difference is with the folks that do have a touch of the book snob to them, that I'm friends with, they know it. They're self-aware, and it's done somewhat tongue-in-cheek. And the difference is that they would never want to actually belittle somebody for reading what they want to read. They might not understand why someone wants to read certain things, and they may think, "Oh, I'd never read that myself." But they're not the sort of people who would actually look down on someone else and try and actively make them feel inferior. But a bit of snobbery, light-hearted snobbery, self-aware snobbery, yeah, it's fine. And I would, challenge somebody on it anyway if I felt it was an issue. Okay, prompt number 10 then is, are people who don't read less sophisticated than people who do? No. There are, sophisticated, I guess we're talking about, folks, to be sophisticated is to want to kind of broaden your world, I guess, to learn about, be aware of different perspectives, different cultures, different ways of being, understanding how the world works and all that kind of stuff, basically. And I think with sophistication, there's often a tie-in to the arts in general, kind of being into the arts and that kind of expression. So yeah, I think just because you don't read doesn't mean that you're not engaged with the world and want to do these things. So, if you're into arts, if you're into music, anything like that, even if you're not a reader, then, there's definite sophistication there. I think, even stuff like being into history and like museums and culture and stuff like that as kind of a hobby, if you like. That's, you know, a indicator of sophistication, if you like. Just being engaged, I think, with the world, however that in whatever form that comes, how you get that into your head, you know, that knowledge, that understanding into your head. As I say, it could be through so many there's different avenues for it. So no, I don't think that because you don't read, you're less sophisticated. Okay, prompt number 11 then is measure yourself. Based on your answers to the previous 10 questions, would you qualify as a book snob? I would hope not. I would hope that the previous answers kind of demonstrate that I don't have a huge amount of time for snobbery. I'm very much of the opinion, read what you want. If you are getting something out of the books that you pick up, whatever they may be, whether they're the sort of thing I don't like, whatever it is, doesn't matter. That it's not me reading it, it's you reading it. Are you getting something out of it? If the answer is yes, crack on, for goodness sake. You're reading, you're enjoying it, that's brilliant. As I say, I read a lot of different stuff. I'm always open to trying a lot of different stuff. I'm not going to like everything, but I'm not going to judge someone else for liking or not liking, you know, the opposite things to me, basically. I'll read what I want, and I expect others to do the same. And, you know, likewise, I won't judge anybody else for reading what they want, and I'd expect the same back to me as well. So yeah, I would hope that I don't qualify as a book snob, but, you know, let me know in the comments if you think I'm wrong. Okay, and prompt number 12 then is to tag some people. I think everybody that I would ordinarily tag on this has been tagged already. I will search my list of folks that I can tag and see, and if I find anybody who's not yet been tagged, or has not yet done the video, I'll drop those names in the description. But otherwise, I will open it up and say, if you like the sound of this tag and you haven't been tagged and you haven't done it yet, and you want to have a go, then please do jump on board. Consider yourselves tagged. But that will do from me today. Thank you very much for watching, folks. As always, do drop your thoughts in the comments below. I will be back soon with another video, so I do hope you'll join me then. But from me, for now, that's ta-ra.